What? Vas-y, c'est parti.
10, 9, ignition sequence start.
Hello there, everyone, and happy Wednesday. Is it Wednesday today? I can't even keep track of the days. This is Loretta Cernowski from Got Spouse Need House. We are a company with real estate agents right across the globe, and we specialize in working with engaged couples and newlyweds so that when it comes time for their real estate transaction, we offer them many benefits, including 10% credit on closing from the realtor's commission. While you are going through that exciting process of your engagement and getting married, we have this podcast and we talk to experts right across North America as well about different items that have to do with when you're getting married. And today we have a great guest, Danielle, and she does wedding stationery. So Danielle, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your business?
Yeah, hi. Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here. So my business is called Franklin Paper Studio. We specialize in wedding stationery, save the dates, and day of paper. So basically anything that you need, signage, invitations for your guests, everything from in your planning process up until the end of your wedding, basically. And it's all custom. We can do pretty much as little or as much as anyone wants.
Oh, that sounds so you started in analytics and corporate planning, I understand. So what inspired that leap into this? It's a totally different business.
It's totally different. So I was working in fashion doing corporate planning and buying, which was really fun, but your day is spent a lot in Excel spreadsheets. Pretty much you go from one spreadsheet to the next spreadsheet and you're kind of really looking for that creative outlet somewhere. And that was just I was just online figuring out some options I could do. And I came across stationery design and I thought, oh, this sounds interesting. Let me see if I can dip my toe in. And it was just such a wonderful creative outlet. Now, I've never run a business before. I never started a business. So this was also a good learning opportunity for me when I first started way back in 2002.
Exciting.
No, not 2002, 2022. Wow. No, not 2002, 2022.
Yeah, you're like me. I'm like, my producer just said, Loretta, it's Monday, not Wednesday. I'm like, oh yeah, because we normally do Wednesday. It's Monday.
I believed you though. When you said Wednesday, I was like, oh yeah, Wednesday. Okay.
You can tell you have your own business when you really don't know what day it is because you work every day.
It's true.
So I know when I was a kid and still am, I'm like I love paper. I love the smell of books. Like when Kindles came out, I didn't buy one. I just need to have a book in my hand. I love the feel of paper. I've always got, my boyfriend's always laughing at me because I always got like a stack of books on the go and stuff like that. Did you have that same sort of love for paper, or what inspired you to kind of go into that realm?
Yeah, so I have always been a very type A planner. Like I was the kid who had the different colored highlighters, color coded her planner. I used my school planners, the ones that they gave us in school, to death. I planned everything, even things I didn't even have. I'd be like, oh, doctor's appointment. It's like my parents would pick me up from school in middle school to like go to my doctor's appointments. I didn't have to plan this, but I'm putting it in my calendar. So I've always just been very organized and type A, color coding. Even when I had like emails or Google calendars, I color coded it all just to kind of keep your brain together. And it just makes my brain happy when everything has, a color and a home and a place. So it just it felt like the most natural progression into doing stationery when I was like, oh wait, I do love planning. And I have 3 planners on me at all times. And I'm just deciding which one I want to use that day. So I am just a nut when it comes to planning. I also have a Google calendar and my Apple calendar. And yeah, I somehow need to cross-reference everything. It's crazy, but I still to this day love just paper planning. And so it just felt like natural to go into paper goods.
Right. I use a paper planner still, and but we also, for our team, we use Trello. I don't know if you're familiar with that.
Yeah.
You use sort of a digital, like a planner calendar like that?
No, I tried to do digital planners. I did. I tried Trello. I tried one other one, and it's not a thing for me. On my CRM system, I use Dubsado, and they have like an online calendar, and I just don't use it. I don't find it as effective for me. I just get such a joy personally of writing down a task and then crossing it off. There's
I
something
do too.
so satisfying in your brain about, writing your to-do list and then crossing something off. So if I can't do that, I've literally been the person who'd be like, do your laundry, cross it off, even if I've already done it. Unload dishwasher,
Right.
cross it off. So it's not just business things, it's also personal things for me. So I've tried those, and I start on it for a bit and then it like falls off because it just is not as effective for me.
I'm the same way as you. Where the problem came in is when I have a team like assistants where I delegate
Yes.
stuff, because then we have a WhatsApp group, and I was driving them crazy because I would put all these things in, and not really as a list. And then I tried them submitting an end of day report, but I would be during the day. Oh, did you do this? Did you do this? And I just found I was wasting so much time checking if things were done because there was no actual physical list. Like if I have one for myself. So when we got the Trello organized, then I could assign everything and have a due date and stuff, and you could color code them.
I'm sure if I had a team,
it made me a more organized boss.
Yeah. I think so. I'm a one-woman show over here. It's literally just me. I do everything for the business. So I think if I ended up having a team at some point, then yes, I'd probably have to start doing some sort of online cloud-based, organizational system. But for now, it works. It's just me.
Yeah, I totally understand. Okay, Franklin Paper Studio. Tell me about the founding of that. What made you choose that name? What all that kind of fun stuff?
So when I started researching about stationery, obviously I was on Instagram and TikTok. I don't even know if TikTok was really as big back then or if it was a thing, but I was really just looking online at other stationers, kind of was trying to see what they called it. But I really wanted to keep it something that was comfortable to me. I didn't want to just call it like, I don't know, like flower paper or whatever. Like I really wanted it to be personal because I think at the end people buy from people and people want that personal connection. So I am from a small town in Michigan called Franklin, and that just felt like a great way to kind of pay homage to like my hometown and everything because I was not living in Michigan. I haven't lived in Michigan since college basically. So I, moved to New York City and I was there for a long time and now I'm in Florida, but it kind of was nice to kind of keep that hometown aspect in the business without being, I almost named it after my dog, honestly. And then I was like, well, that's not really an evergreen name. It would make me sad, when he when he passes away to be like, oh, let's call it my dog's name. So it just felt like a better option.
What was your dog's name?
His name is Aspen.
Okay. That would be a nice name too.
It would, but then I thought, oh, well, I'm not from Colorado. I thought people would get confused if I called it like Aspen Paper Company or Aspen Paper Studio or something. And I'm like, oh yeah, but I'm in Florida or I'm in New York City. People I think would be like, wait, you're not in Colorado? So Franklin felt better. And there's a Franklin in every single state, I imagine, but it just is more personal to me. So
yeah, makes sense. So it sounds like you've moved quite a bit, Michigan, New York City. Is there a reason for that? Were you moving with your previous job or just living?
So I went to New York City for my first job outside of school and stayed there for 8 years or so. And then my husband now, but at the time was my boyfriend, got a job down here in Florida. So we ended up moving down here for him. And this was post-COVID. So it was sort of, it felt like it was the right time, honestly. COVID, I would always say in New York City, pre-COVID life and post-COVID life were very different. So it just was like, the city was different and it's still a wonderful city. I love to visit. I'm excited to go back. I'm going back in January. And we go back once or twice a year, but it just felt like it was the right time. And it's beautiful down here and calm. And, you kind of don't realize what you're missing in your life until you move somewhere different. And then you're like, oh, I was missing more blue skies and I was missing maybe a calmer lifestyle. And
Right. Oh, that's great.
But hopefully this is it. Hopefully this is Florida's good for a while. I don't want to move every other year.
Exactly. Yeah, it's very stressful. It is a good way to declutter, though, as we talked about.
That's true. That's true.
So someone has just got engaged. Can you walk us through what the process is for full service stationery, what you offer?
Yeah, definitely. So someone who just gets engaged, I would say most people have some sort of vision of what they want their wedding to be like. And I know this leans more into wedding planning versus just stationery, but you kind of have to have a vision of what you're wanting beforehand. Are you having a big wedding, a small wedding? Because all that's going to really matter with what we do with the stationery, right? And there's obviously certain trends and things that people want to have, but you really need to first start by picking your venue and picking a planner if you're going that route before you start reaching out to stationers, because that's going to be the first questions I ask you. What's your date? Where's your location? Who's your planner if you have one? And just some basic info, like you and your fiance, what your color palette is, like what you're thinking. So once you reach out to a stationer, at least in my case, what we do is we get on an inquiry call, a discovery call, where I basically just get to know you. I get to know your personality a bit, what you're looking for, and we'll go item by item with ideas that I have and talk about items that, the client would have. And we just kind of like bounce back and forth on ideas. I make a whole list, and then I will go through everything that they want, their dream things, maybe some items that they're like, I said it'd be great to have, but I don't need it. Or I want to save some money and put more money, like not do table numbers. Let's put that money into like a big signage display or something like that. So we'll talk about all of those logistics on the call with someone. Usually if you work with a planner, I like the planner to be on the call just to keep them in the loop with what's going on. So there's no surprises. If you get an inquiry or an invoice or email or something from me, you're like, oh, I know this person, I know what's happening. Then I basically will send you a proposal. Once it's all approved and everything, everyone's happy, we've discussed all the items, I'll go start design. And the design process is pretty simple. I have these forms on my Dubsado, which is my CRM system that I use. And we just collaborate back and forth on what you love of my designs, what you maybe don't want, maybe what you wish you could see, what you don't. And this is also things I do cover on the call. So I have a pretty good idea of what a client is looking for, like if they want watercolor or they want wax seals. I'll try to make sure that's all in their initial design. And then from there, in addition to design, we'll do mock-up so you can visually see all together on the screen what it's going to look like.
Okay.
And then once everything's approved, it goes into production, and then I handle the rest. All clients for me have to do is say, yes, I love it. No, I hate it. And then once we agree on how everything's looking, I print, I mail, I send, I assemble. I do everything for your guests. So it's sort of all-inclusive service. So it takes one thing off of the couple's plate, which is really nice. I find a lot of my couples prefer that because it's so stressful, wedding planning. I got married last year. I know it can be a lot of moving pieces, a lot of things going on. So I try to make it as stress-free as possible.
So when someone's looking online at your designs, do they say, oh, I want that one? Or do you always make something new for someone? Or do you just have templates that they choose from? Or how does that work?
So majority of my clients are custom clients, meaning they'll say, oh, I love how you did this one. And I'm like, great, we can do something similar. But I do try to customize everything to the couple and kind of give them something different and unique just as part of my business. I do have one semi-custom suite available that people can choose from. I'm going to release a couple more in the future, but, working on those now. But so they could do a semi-custom where we can change fonts, colors, all of that. But the layout stays the same in a semi-custom suite. So all the design aspects are the same, but we can kind of tweak things as we need to. But majority of my clients are referred from planners, and they want custom. And I prefer to make something super custom for someone as opposed to just, and I would never copy someone else's work. That's not my style.
Yeah. So do you find that people have a pretty good idea of what they want, or do you really have to coach them into, we can, take your personality and make this with lace or whatever, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. It really depends. I've had one of my first clients was a friend of mine because I coerced her to let me do her invitations, and she had no idea what her colors were until I started showing her options and designs. And then she goes, you basically picked my wedding colors. And I was like, thank you. I was like, I hope you liked them. No, and it was beautiful and it was great. It was still one of my favorite invitation suites I ever did. But, so it is usually people who come with an idea of what they want. A lot of
Right.
people, though, will come saying, oh, here's my mood board or my Pinterest board for my wedding. They know the general color scheme, but once you start showing them options, they may change their mind and say, oh, I actually love this green. Green may have not been as prominent in their mood board, but they're like, oh, this green is my favorite. Let's use it on the envelopes. Let's use it on ribbon. Like, let's use it somewhere. So it yes and no. It's like you have an idea, but you're open to the collaboration and kind of, especially when you fall in love with something, it's hard to get out of your brain, right? So
yeah, of course. So Franklin Paper Studio, you're obviously a very strong woman, very creative. How do you position yourself in the market that you're in?
Well, like I said before, I think people like to buy from people. I try to be a face for my business, and I mention it everywhere I go. If I see someone's engaged, I'm like, I can do wedding stationery, like just to kind of promote myself. But I do try my best to be available to my clients all the time, positioning myself as a luxury stationer, being competitive in price point, because there's a lot of stationers I think that can charge or overcharge for items, and I try to be a little more competitive so I can maybe get their business or work on something that is different than I normally do, or just kind of expand my resources and everything. But I do partner a lot with wedding planners in my area, in Orlando, to help their clients. Most of my business comes from referrals, where I'm able to like kind of work with the planners and the client together.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
That's good. I mean, referrals are the best business. I know as a realtor,
Yeah.
if someone refers business to me, it's the nicest compliment you can have.
Oh yeah, and I also love when my clients, will text me, and because I always give my personal phone number out, which maybe I shouldn't do, but I do because I just like to be communicative, and they'll be like, "Oh my gosh, I love it! I saw a sneak peek on your Instagram, and this was amazing. It's my dreams coming true." Or I stepped in for a client last year. Her old stationer had ghosted her, and her review for me was, "Danielle saved my wedding," and I'm like, "Oh, like those are the things that kind of keep me driven and keep me going." And make
Right?
it so much more fun, and it makes it worth it. So I just try to position myself in a way where, yeah, I'm just open to the collaboration and working with people, because I generally love. I mean, I think if you're working in the wedding industry, like you do, you love weddings, you love the
Yeah.
idea of them. So yeah, just making sure my clients know that like I'm there for them, and I will even answer questions for people about wedding planning from my own experience. And I'm not a wedding planner, but if they're like stressing about something, I'm like, call me, text me. Like I'm happy to help. I'm not an expert, but I will talk you off the ledge, or if you want to chop your hair off or something, like I don't care. So
Yeah, you're living in that world, so you pretty much know what happens next.
yes, exactly.
So I know you're based in St. Petersburg, Florida. Do you have clients from other states, other countries?
Yeah. So one of my clients for next year is actually in Georgia. I've not had the pleasure of doing any international weddings yet, but I've done weddings in Michigan and Georgia and New York, kind of all over. The great thing with stationery is that anything we do is physical and can be shipped. So if you love a stationer and you want to see things in person, that's awesome. Feel free to choose someone locally. But it is, if you are like, oh, I love this person, I love their work, you can work with stationers. At least for me, you can work with me no matter where you're getting married. Doesn't
Yeah,
matter.
I guess that person doesn't matter where they live. I mean, because they're looking at stuff online and you're doing it all.
And all my calls are Zoom calls. Like they'll text me, like all of my form for people to tell me if they like something or not everything's online. So it makes it so much easier. And that also, so people can access their, proofs ahead of time. What if I propose something before that they love, then we left it behind. We were like, oh, we're not going to do that. And then we have to go back to it. Like, so everything's in one online place. So it makes more sense to just keep it there.
So on that note, for couples planning a wedding, how far ahead of time should they be contacting you and planning this?
So I like to start by sharing the timelines that people should send out invitations, because that can kind of help gauge when you need to reach out to a stationer. If you know you want to use one, let's say your wedding is middle or end of next year, 2026, reach out sooner rather than later. People do book up, and you don't want to miss out on the opportunity to work with someone if you are super passionate about working with that person. But that goes for any vendor in the wedding industry, not just stationers, right? You want to make sure you get your people who you want when you want them, so they're available for your wedding. when it comes to save the dates, if it was a local wedding, 9 months to 1 year. If you're doing a destination wedding, meaning most people are going to be traveling to a different location, including yourself, for the wedding, I would try to do more like 10 to 12 months before your wedding date, right? So that's why having the wedding date is so important. And then when it comes to main invitations, 3 to 4 months is standard for a local wedding, and then more on the 6 month if it's a destination wedding. So if you're planning a destination wedding, let's say you want your save the dates out 10 months before your event, I would reach out 2 or 3 months before that mail date would be, to work with your stationer, to give them ample time to make sure they capture your vision. You've designed everything. They have time to print everything because certain printing methods can take longer than others. So just making sure you've buffered in that time.
Right.
And same with invitations. Usually once you sign on with someone for save the dates, invitations, and everything else, they should be the ones to contact you and say, hey, it's time to start designing your invites. Like I have clients for next year. I'm just doing day of goods for them. And I'll check in every couple months, like, hey, I haven't forgotten about you, but it's not time yet to start designing. And then once we get closer to their date, I'll be like, it's time to start designing. So making sure, like, as a stationer, I'm organized, so I know our timeline, but also making sure that, like, my client understands that, like, you can't text me or reach out like 2 weeks before you want save the dates to go in the mail, because it just usually doesn't happen that fast. So I would give it like 6 to 8 weeks before.
Okay, makes sense. Better to be prepared. So in weddings, there's trends just like anything else: dresses, cakes, colors, whatever. Are there trends in stationery as well?
I love this question. I love wedding trends. It's one of my favorite things to look up on TikTok.
Yeah.
Some of my favorite invitation specific trends are going to be, I've had a lot of clients recently want more minimalistic things. And when I say minimalistic, I don't mean minimal as far as design. I mean like a single card invite. They don't want the whole 5-piece suite with a details card, an RSVP card, whatever. A lot of clients of mine are omitting certain parts of that traditional 5-piece suite and going for something more simple. So doing online only RSVPs, not even doing rehearsal invitations, just doing like a simple one card or a double-sided card, just to kind of be like, hey, we're getting married, and then here's the details, go to our website. I have not had clients who really want to do the online invitations. I know that there are people who just want to do online invites. Thankfully, I've only had people who love the tactile and love the paper and want to have something to send to clients or to guests. But yeah, so that's a huge trend I've been seeing recently with clients. A lot of color. People are really not afraid of color anymore. People want that pops of color. A lot of things I'm seeing on TikTok and Instagram for tablescapes are like fruit and, gingham tablecloths and everything. So a lot of couples, really colorful flowers, they really want to display that and incorporate that into their wedding stationery. It kind of gives a little peek for guests into what to expect when they like walk into the door to the reception. So I have a lot of clients recently who are not afraid of color, which is always fun, because as much as I love, a green and a white, it is much more fun when you can incorporate an orange or a yellow or, something a little more fun into the mix. It also helps them stand out, when you have your detail shot of your wedding and you're posting on Instagram, like the hundreds of other people who are getting married, it's fun to be like, oh, it's like a little different.
Yeah, of course.
And then my third trend is you can never go wrong with like a romantic classic invite. Like watercolor is always beautiful. And you can always, and I work with a great artist who customizes, she did my wedding, customizes everything with colors and locations, and just kind of, that's where we can really dive into personalization in watercolor, which is beautiful. But really like the classic, fonted scripts and details and flowers and just really like romantic wedding. It's like what you think of like a French countryside wedding would be like a huge thing that people love. Even if you're not getting married in the French countryside, people love like just like the beautiful, overdone, artistic invitations, because they're always fun.
Yeah, well, it's romantic. It's a wedding. That's how it should be.
Yeah, it's a wedding. It's romantic. It should be fun, right?
Exactly. So, big picture, what is coming? What is your vision for the next 5 years for your business?
Oh my gosh, this question is always one of those that is so hard, because I feel like things can change so quickly, especially when you run your own business. And, I'm sure if you ask this question to someone who started before COVID, and then COVID delayed a bunch of weddings and people went to micro weddings and everything like that. So for me, I would just want to keep doing what I'm doing. I have started to branch out into bigger displays for, escort cards and things, seating assignments and things like that. So I'd love to continue offering that to my clients and making sure, especially if you're local in Florida, we can definitely do like a big wooden display and acrylic and things. I also have a sticker vending machine that I bought. I was actually moving it before we jumped on the call. That I think is also a fun little trend that is something that I'd love to continue to offer to my clients is, free stickers, not free for your guests, but you pay for them all, but a sticker vending machine or temporary tattoos, just something to make it a little more personal.
Oh, cool.
And yeah, I also want to expand my semi-custom line, just kind of offer a few more things to some of those more budget conscious people. As much as we love Minted and we love Shutterfly and all those other companies, I feel like you miss that personal element of working with a stationer. And so this way, if I expand my semi-custom line, I'll hopefully get more clients who, maybe don't want to spend as much as for custom, but still want that personalized detail.
Well, that's great. And how can people find you?
So you can find me on social media, on Instagram at Franklin Paper Studio, or on my website, franklinpaperstudio.com.
Okay, and for everyone watching, we will put this in the edits and post it on the channel as well. Thank you so much, Danielle, for your time today. It was very interesting.
Thanks
and
for having me.
I will have to report back to you on my trip to Florida and let you know.
Oh, yes. Yes, please do. Thank you so much.
Yes. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in today. This is Loretta Cernowski, Remax and Got Spouse Need House. If you are in the throes of your wedding planning, but you know that a real estate transaction is going to happen in your future, you can reach out to us. And when you deal with one of our team, you get a 10% credit on closing, as well as benefits from the lender and the title company. You can check us out at gotspouseneedhouse.com. And we also have Instagram too. So everyone have a great rest of your Monday now that I know the day. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.